Hello everyone, welcome to your technique video for the Heat of Reaction lab. This video will show you how to use the coffee cup calorimeter, but first let's go through the safety information. Wear your goggles anytime the chemicals are out during this lab. If you spill either the acid or the base on your skin, you should flush the affected area for 15 minutes. To dispose of these solutions, simply pour them down the sink. For this week's lab, you'll need a 5% acetic acid solution, a sodium hydroxide solution. Notice here that we have chosen graduated cylinders with different colored bases. Because both solutions are clear and colorless, this will help us to not mix up which solution is which. We need 2 nested styrofoam coffee cups, a cardboard lid with a metal stirrer, and a thermometer. Prepare your lab notebook before you start exercise 1. Use the one shown here as an example. You will be performing 3 trials. For each of the trials, you will need to record the volume of the acid, the volume of the base, the initial temperature, and the final temperature. In exercise 1, the sodium hydroxide will be the limiting reactant. As part of your pre-lab, you should calculate the theoretical concentration of a 5% acetic acid solution. Because a concentration of base that's relatively close to this number was chosen, the number of moles of acid in solution should be about the same as the number of moles of base. This lets us assume for this lab that as long as the volume of acetic acid is more than about 5 milliliters greater than the volume of sodium hydroxide, acetic acid will be the species present in excess. Use a graduated cylinder to measure out some volume of acetic acid. Record the volume in your notebook. Next, measure out a volume of sodium hydroxide that allows the sodium hydroxide to be the limiting reactant. Record this volume in your notebook. The combined volume of the sodium hydroxide and the acetic acid should not exceed 75 milliliters. Pour the solution that is present in excess into the nested coffee cups. In the first exercise, it will be the acetic acid. Place the cardboard lid over the cups and watch the thermometer. When the temperature appears to be constant, read the initial temperature. Record this in your notebook. Now it is time to add the sodium hydroxide, our limiting reactant. Crack the lid open just a little bit and rapidly pour in the sodium hydroxide. Replace the lid quickly. Move the stirrer up and down to help the solutions mix while you watch the temperature rise. Pay very close attention and record the peak temperature. You will know when you have reached the peak temperature because it will stop rising and start to fall. Record the last number that you see before it falls. You should expect this temperature change to be at least 4 degrees Celsius over the starting temperature. The temperature change should happen in less than 30 seconds. If the temperature change is very small, try the reaction again with different volumes. You could also add the second solution faster and keep the lid tightly pressed over the cups to get better results. Remember that exercise 1 requires 3 trials. It is generally a good idea to vary the volumes of the solutions from trial to trial. Try to avoid using the same ratio of volumes all 3 times. In between trials, you can simply pour the solutions down the sink and rinse out the cup. Use a paper towel to wipe out the cup and you will be ready to start the next trial. Exercise 2 will follow the same procedure with one change. In exercise 1, sodium hydroxide was the limiting reactant. In exercise 2, the limiting reactant will be acetic acid. Measure out a volume of sodium hydroxide in the graduated cylinder and then measure out a volume of acetic acid that is at least 5 milliliters less than the volume of base. Record these volumes in your notebook. This time, you will add the sodium hydroxide to the coffee cups first. Place the lid over the top of the cups and wait for the temperature to become constant, then record the initial temperature. Open the lid just a little bit and pour in the acetic acid. Close the lid. Rapidly move the stirrer up and down to stir the solutions. Wait until the temperature peaks and record that value. You will repeat this for a total of 3 trials. Just like exercise 1, you should vary the volumes from trial to trial and avoid using the same ratio of volumes every time. That's all for this week, and I will see you next week.